To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com. Hi, good morning, everybody. Welcome in. Happy Monday. Glad you're with us. Golic Wingo, ESPN Radio on ESPN2. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Mike Golic, Sr., Mike Golic, Jr., and moi, Trey Wingo. A good weekend? Busy for you, right?
Busy. Had to move my daughter into another apartment in Chicago there. And I did that all while she was preparing. The Bears had this gala. So
saw that on Twitter. Big gala for the Bears.
Which meant she didn't help me move at all.
Which means you were just there doing the work while she was working.
All by myself. And then luckily, though, our buddy Darius Rucker, him and the fellows had a show there, a little private show. So we ended up.
Oh, my God, you went to a private show.
Not for me. It was
a private show for Mike Golic.
No, it was not.
Yes, it was.
But it was good to go see all those guys. By the way, that song, I want to go back. Did you like the last shot of The Sopranos?
Well, it was the greatest what just happened.
Oh, I hated it. I absolutely hated it.
I love the fact that we started a show in 2018 with something that happened in 2007.
I was just going to say, we're doing the referendum on the end of The Sopranos.
We're just about a decade behind that, so that makes all the sense in the world. Junior, your weekend, I assume, was not involving moving.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I figured out, by the way, that technically you paid Sydney to move her stuff in. Because you were doing all the heavy lifting. You were buying all the furniture that was going into there.
Yeah,
so essentially you paid her so that you could go move her stuff, which is the most and for anyone that hasn't met or heard of my sister, that sums her up perfectly.
Let's be clear. Anybody that's ever heard of this show, you've heard of Sid.
You've heard of Sid.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
Let's be clear about that. That is not something you guys are shy about.
And Alex Periano.
Yeah. Periano, there's our guy.
And hopefully Steph Curry, because he's back now.
He's back. He's not hurt. And you played Tom Hanks, didn't you? And what'd you spend, 8 hours in the Philadelphia airport?
Oh, yeah, the terminal. I've always said I could live in the airport, but I lived in the Philadelphia airport. A lot of great retail.
Not bad.
There.
If you're going to spend 8 hours in an airport.
All things considered.
Listen, Cliff is not going to disagree with you because Cliff is about all things Cleveland, Philadelphia, except he wants to fire
a lot of
Brown,
people, a lot of pro Jay Wright people in that airport for what
Cliff,
it's worth.
Cliff, for crying out loud! Yeah. But Cliff, absolutely. The Philly airport, you can get a lot of shopping done in 8 hours there.
Victoria's
really
Secret, sexy shopping.
There you go. We didn't need to know that.
No, we didn't.
I spent the weekend watching another one of my family members graduate from Georgetown Law. My nephew is a Navy veteran, now a Georgetown Law grad, so congratulations.
There you go.
Yeah. And there's another story I want to get to that happened over the weekend with graduation at Georgetown, which was pretty cool. But we got a lot to get to, and let's start with what you were talking about, Junior. Steph Curry apparently healed. The Golden State Warriors beat the Rockets 126-85 in Game 3. Their largest playoff win in franchise history, and Houston's largest ever playoff loss, Mike.
I mean, what do you say? I mean,
Steph Curry good.
Steph is back. Steph started out 2 for 10 in this game. Then he went 11 of 13 the rest of the way, including 7 of 7 in the third quarter. So that was a quarter for him where they outscored Houston by 10. Then they destroyed him in the fourth quarter. You know, this is Golden State when they're on all cylinders. When now I wonder if we'll go back to they don't care for this next game. We'll see 20 turnovers and a loss. So which is it going to be? Which team will show up?
Well, according to Draymond Green, they're allowed one of those performances in a series.
So then it's over.
They're allowed one where they relax, and then after that they sort of kick back into gear. And I said Golden State in that sense is the perfect sort of millennial era team because they just lose interest. After a while, they understand how good they are at all of this. They're very clearly in control of their ability. They just get distracted every once in a while by a lot of stuff going on, which is kind of understandable from my vantage point. And really, we got more of what we were used to out of Houston. The usual James Harden lackluster defensive highlights were on display. This seemed to be what I would consider more of the norm on both sides. Now, the Houston offense will be better, but Golden State defensively turned up the heat.
Well, here's the bigger question, and we'll get into this a lot as we go forward. Are we going to have a close game in this series? Or are we going to have a close game in either one of the conference finals?
Either series.
What are the odds that either one of these games is a single-digit game in either conference?
Man, you'd like to see it, wouldn't you? Because they just get like, okay, what else is on? I could start moving around, hit my last to see what good movie's on over the weekend. Because, they haven't been very competitive at all.
Outside of game one of the Western Conference Finals, that was really the only one where we were given anything that could be considered.
But it ended up being, a 16-point win?
Yeah, not until the fourth quarter, though. For three quarters of that game, that was the best basketball game I had watched all season, and since then it has been an absolute disaster.
The first quarter of that first game was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it was just back and forth, and then you slowly got the feeling, okay, here they come, and there they went in the fourth quarter, as the Warriors have already done. But again, it goes back to that thing that the Warriors have done all year long. Starting in the third quarter, they continue to flip the switch. You know, they've been better than everybody during the regular season in the third quarter and beyond. But the third quarter, again, seems to be the difference. It was a close game at the half, and then, boom, 10-point spread in the third quarter, and that by that time it was done. You knew it was over. So, again, 2-1, and does anybody think Houston's really going to take 3 now?
Oh, God.
I mean, look, good for them. Kudos to them. If they do, great. But this has an air of inevitability to it, and we'll see what happens going forward.
As they say in hockey, let's do that hockey.
Mm-hmm. This is the antithesis of an air of inevitability. I don't think anybody in their right mind thought, those Vegas Golden Knights, they're going to go play for the Stanley Cup. But there they go after beating the Jets 4-1 in the Western Conference Finals to reach the Stanley Cup Finals in their inaugural season.
Lost the first game of that series, and we were like, "Oh, okay, could this could be interesting." Won the next 4, never trailed in any of the next 4. Marc-Andre Fleury stopped 129 of 135 shots in the next 4. I mean, just incredible. And the game winner for them, Ryan Reeves with the deflection, was just fantastic off the long slap shot. To win it. The most interesting thing I think about that, well, obviously it was a great win, but they get the Clarence Campbell Trophy for winning the Western Conference, and they started carrying that around, and everybody's like, wait a minute, you shouldn't be doing that. That's bad luck to do that when you're going for the Stanley Cup. You start celebrating early, but what was it? Marc-Andre Fleury told those guys, hey, wait, Sidney's done this in the past.
But again, I don't feel like saying Sidney Crosby has done this.
Not Sidney Golic. I want to make sure there was a clarification there.
Sidney Crosby has done this before,
But again, I feel like there needs to be clarification on that. Like, just because Sidney Crosby could get away with doing it doesn't mean that you should necessarily be doing it as well. Sidney Crosby stacking the deck a bit in that regard, but this Vegas team has gotten by doing things kind of differently since the beginning. There's a reason that we're celebrating them being here. It's a bit of an oddity, so for them to be carting that around and all that surprising.
We're going to get into the oddities, and we're going to get into the some of the money Vegas can lose on this. So Vegas, where they live, the fans are going to dig it, but the casinos maybe not so much when this thing goes down.
Yeah, we're digging the oddity. I don't think Vegas is digging the odds that they may not be facing.
No, they're not.
But to the point of how odd this is, they are attempting to become the first NHL, NFL, NBA, or Major League Baseball franchise to win a championship in its first season in a league, excluding the first year of the league's existence since the 1950 Cleveland Browns won the NFL championship. Again, the last hockey team to get to the finals in an expansion year was the St. Louis Blues in the 67-68 season. But again, caveat, #different set of circumstances. The entire Western Conference last year were all expansion teams, so someone was going to do it.
Going to your stat that you gave of the 1 championships in first season, the Browns being the last one. Before that, it was the Minneapolis Lakers in 48-49, and the year before that, the Baltimore Bullets of the NBA did it as well.
Yeah, so a lot of interesting names there, and we'll see what happens, and we'll see who they play as the Eastern Conference Finals could end tonight, as the Caps are on their way to doing the most Caps things ever.
Yeah, they are.
Up 2-0, and really could drop 4 straight and give the East to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Meanwhile,
I want you to show the way.
Our guy did it again. Angels rookie Shohei Ohtani got his 4th win, striking out 9 in 7 2/3 innings of 6 hit ball as the Angels snapped their 5-game skid with a 5-2 win, Mike.
How about that? So right now, he did give up a home run.
How dare he?
We're at 6-5,
yes,
right? He's hit 6. He's hit 6, and he's given up 5. That's one of the stats that we're keeping track of. But what a great thing to do, to keep track of how many he gives up and how many hits, to the point now where is he going to get asked to play in the home run derby or participate in the home run derby. He did in Japan and won it there 1 year. And Mike Scioscia, his manager, said, hey, that's a player's prerogative if he wants to. He said he doesn't think he's reached that level yet, but that's going to be one of those showcases to have him in that event.
Oh, Major League Baseball would love to have him go out there and get crushed by Aaron Judge in that. It'd be great for the competition. It's funny that we have this going on. I said it this morning. He's the Vegas Golden Knights of baseball. Like, this is the great story that we have going into the season that we just keep pointing at every time he does something good and say, hey, this is a great story.
Now, do you think he should be in the home run derby?
Listen, I have given into the fact that All-Star Weekend is about entertainment.
Yes.
Yes, put him in it.
Entertain
He's
us.
an entertaining guy right now. This guy came in with a
clown in a uniform. Do stuff for me.
With all the talk in the world coming in, and then he has a miserable spring. So you're like, oh, God, what is this going to turn into? But now he's living up to the hype, which is hard to do. The hype, when your name is associated with Babe Ruth and you haven't done a thing in Major League Baseball, that's a lot of hype to live up to, and he's starting out pretty well. So, yes, it's about entertainment. He's an entertaining person right now. He absolutely should be invited to participate if he wants to.
Kind of like having the Chosen One tattooed on your back coming out of high school. Difficult things to live up to and more impressive when you do.
Exactly. To Ohtani's credit, he said, I don't think I'm at that level yet. I'm honored to be in the conversation. Put him in, man. If this continues for the next,
get invited.
Put him in.
Just a matter, if he's going to want to do it, the whole deal of what happens. But it'd be great.
I think it would be fantastic. By the way, Golic and Wingo presented by Progressive Insurance with more than 30 unique coverage options available. Progressive knows small business. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com. Justify led wire to wire once again in similar conditions to the Kentucky Derby.
How much you could see of it.
Slop fest, fog fest. To win the 143rd Preakness by half a length on Saturday, Justify is now the fifth horse to win the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness Stakes with an undefeated record entering the Belmont. Only Seattle Slew in 77 was able to win and finish off the Triple Crown.
So the Belmont's the happiest people around.
They won big on Saturday.
They absolutely did. They were monster. But what a race it was! I mean, you could barely see some of it in the fog, and again in the mud. And another, Justify taking control in the home stretch, and so we go for the Triple Crown. I was somewhat amazed, and we need to get into what was going around on our show email about was that you that led the way on that whole thing?
That was me.
About Justify shouldn't show up to the Belmont unless they pay him. If I'm
Justify, look, the Belmont needs me, man. Okay, I'm the show pony. Literally, I'm the show pony. Without us, it's just a race.
So you said they should ask for $10
million appearance fee. Let's go. Come on, be a capitalist. Who has the leverage right now, Belmont or Justify? Who's got the leverage?
That is just horrific.
It's awesome, too, at the same time.
Oh, my God.
Come on.
Yeah, I'm not sure any of us know enough about horse racing to be qualified to actually say who needs who more in this, because those stud fees that come along with being a Triple Crown winner are pretty substantial, and I'm pretty sure you need the Belmont for that one.
I like the idea, though. Let me put it this way. Yes, obviously it's a Triple Crown winner. The stud fees will go up. This horse is going to live a very happy life no matter what happens June 9th.
How often does this show get back to talking about horse sex, by the way?
That's true. Yeah.
For 3 months for a month and a half out of the year.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
This is our month and a half to talk about horse sex. And if you don't take the time that you have to talk about horse sex, you don't get to talk about horse sex at all.
One of the other things, and Mike, I heard you talking about when you saw pictures of it, is the horses have
companion
ponies. They're like miniature, like pony.
You get a little mini horse.
Yeah, it's really a wild
They get a mini
thing.
me?
Yes. That kind of comfort them or whatever.
Is it like a sympathy animal?
I don't know.
Like you see on an airplane where they get it just to kind of keep calm, like, hey, you got your little buddy with you, feel good about
so
this.
Everybody, you stay calm and
as
all
you
that.
watch a bunch of degenerates race across the top of the porta potties and get beers thrown at them.
Yeah, that's a whole nother side. Yeah,
the traditions of horse racing are far
yes, they are.
And very varied. So now I'm just going to keep talking until the clock stops ticking because Stanzik has put us on the warning, and then we're done. And then the Cleveland Cavaliers host the Celtics tonight in Game 4, 8:30 Eastern on ESPN and ESPN Radio as they look to even up the series. This, by the way, the fourth time that LeBron James trailed 2-0 in the Eastern Conference playoff series. He won Game 3 and 4 in each of the three previous instances.
I don't even know where to go on this. Boston can't play on the road this postseason. Only won one game. Cleveland, you have no idea who's going to step up. Now all the starters decided to be in double digits in their game on Saturday. So who knows? Who knows? George Hill stepped up huge in this one, but who knows who steps up in the next one? You have no idea. And if they step up and they're playing good, they seem to play better defense as well. They seem to be more jacked and have more hustle from that side of it. Will Boston ever be able to pull one off on the road? Though they don't have to win this series. If they just take care of business at home, they'll win this thing. You just don't know where this one's going next.
If it goes 7, home team Boston versus Game 7 LeBron, who you got?
Yeah.
Because I look at this and say, the other Cavs are not the consistent force that I'm willing to bet on, as much as Larry Nance Jr. would like us to believe.
Which we will get into later.
Boy, oh boy.
But I'm betting on the force of LeBron James being the only thing I can consistently rely on in that team. For the Celtics, their whole team has been much more reliable, outside of those road settings. So if it comes down to the reliable overall team versus the Game 7 best player we've ever seen,
that's the bet.
What's it going to be?
And we'll find out how much of that discussion will be in play after that game tonight. Meanwhile, as we said, Game 3 in the Western Conference Finals was last night, and the Golden State Warriors, and specifically Steph Curry, announced his presence with authority, to quote from Ebby Calvin-Nuke LaLoosh in the epic movie Bull Durham.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone was questioning Steph and where he was and whether he was injured or not. And then after a struggle, look, he started struggling again, especially from deep. Then in the second half, he turned it on and buried the Rockets. And here was Steph after the game.
You got to be your biggest fan sometimes. And no matter, like I said, no matter what questions I was, being asked over the first two games or what the expectation was, I have the highest expectations for myself. And you just got to find whatever it is to get you going. So, obviously it felt good. And you want to, use that energy to, show your teammates that you're here, you're with them, and get the crowd into it. But it's one game, and you got to have that same type of energy and intentions and focus in the next game and the right approach. So, did my job tonight. Got to do it again.
So do we think he's going to be doing his job going forward?
Well, I think he'll be doing, I don't know if he'll do it to that clip of 2 for 10 and then 11 of 13 the rest of the way and didn't miss a shot in the third quarter. I don't know if that expectation is there, but if he doesn't, Kevin Durant is there, Klay Thompson is there, Draymond Green is there. To me, this isn't about if Houston wins, it's going to be because Golden State didn't play up to their level. If Golden State plays up to their level or close to this level, they're winning the series. They just are. So Houston can do whatever they want. You know what they can't do? Houston missed 17 layups in this game, 9 in one quarter. I mean, there's no way you're going to do that.
Well, so is that in any way related to the air quotes defense that Golden State was playing? But it's layups.
They're layups. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, as far as from the defensive standpoint, we got close enough to try and get a layup, and you missed a ton of them. So this goes how Golden State goes. And you, Mike, you just said, Draymond said we're allowed one of those. Well, if they come out with the same intensity that they did last night or close to it, they're going to win. I mean, they're the better team. I don't care how many threes Houston hoists up there now, unless they hit an ungodly amount, which they're not going to do on a consistent enough basis to win 4 games out of 7 against a team like Golden State. So this is all on Golden State and how they come out and play in these games.
Well, to that point, Houston head coach Mike D'Antoni said it was a little bit about their team as well. Listen.
We didn't switch up into people. We didn't box off. It's just, one thing led to another. We played soft, actually. I mean, you can't do that with these guys. These guys are good. And we still might not have won. Even with 4, you got to play well. We didn't make shots early. We turned it over. I mean, it was not a very good game. We're going to have to play a lot better on Tuesday.
That sounds like Steve Kerr after game 2.
Yes.
We didn't play the aggressiveness, too many turnovers, didn't hit our shots. I mean, it's like teams are switching off on how they play after games.
Yeah, and that's always the buzzword that you can throw out to really try and agitate a locker room. Chris Paul came out and agreed with his coach after it. That to me seems like the easy way, but it's usually the right way. That's usually the edge, and that's the disappointing part because this is a veteran outfit. This isn't a young Celtics team that has struggled on the road in the playoffs in a way that you can understand when you're dealing with guys that might not have the maturity to compartmentalize their own success yet. This Rockets team, forget compartmentalizing their success, should have the hunger to show up each night, one would think, because they haven't accomplished to the level of the team they're playing across from. So that's what seems to be the most disappointing.
And you'd think that when your coach uses that word, especially as a football player, soft, you take it to heart or you get upset with it. No, here was Chris Paul after the game.
Coach is right. We got to be better. I think, we got to come out more aggressive. We was letting them hit first. You know what I mean? They was running the screens and all that stuff like that. And, we know that we're at our best when we're in transition, not taking the ball out the net. And tonight we was taking the ball out the net. We had 19 turnovers. That's uncharacteristic of us. And we knew we was going to get a great game from them being back here at home, but we just got to be better.
Honest assessment.
Yeah, and it is. We need a game. I mean, we need a game in either one of these series.
I would like one of these things to be like one of those great games that we've remembered in years past. Yeah. Just give me that back and forth, one shot to win it all down the stretch.
For what it's worth, that's been the trend of the playoffs the last few years, though, is these monster blowouts in series that record-wise, when you look at them, end up going 7 games and are entertaining, but otherwise, lots of blowouts in the middle.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, again, on either side, we haven't had a really closely contested game midway through the fourth quarter. It's been sort of pull away in the third, and then someone pulls away, and then down the stretch, it's like, yeah, we know where this is going. And one reason that the Warriors were able to do that Sunday is because of Steph Curry was clearly in the zone in the third quarter. 18 points, 7 of 7 shooting, brought to you by AutoZone. Get in the zone.
Across both series, the conference finals have been decided by an average of 24 points per game this season.
Hashtag not what you're looking for. So can we, hey, look, we're just going to throw it out there.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking for the rest of us, we'd just like a close game.
Give us a game.
You could give us a game that, if you could do that, that would be great.
It's all about the movie Gladiator. Entertain us.
Yes.
Right?
Are you not entertained?
Entertain us.
So I love the fact that we somehow cross-pollinated Gladiator, Office Space, and The Sopranos.
That's how we
in
roll.
The first segment of the show.
Mm-hmm.
We are that good. Coming up, a response to Saturday Night Live. Plus, nobody needs to get blown out, no matter what player said. One player said they did need to get blown out. We're not buying it. We'll get to that, Mike, after this.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for the Golic Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030. To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com. Right now, as we get set for Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals, it is time for Straight Talk. Brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. So as we go back to Game 3, which was Saturday in Cleveland, in the Eastern Conference Finals between the Cavs and the Celtics, the least surprising thing was that the Cavs won.
Right.
The most surprising thing was the balanced scoring that came out of it. 6 Cavs, including all 5 starters, were in double figures. That was probably the most surprising thing that came out of that win, right, Mike?
Oh, without a doubt. And it was George Hill right out of the gate. Had a big first quarter, taking the pressure right away off LeBron, not having to do everything right off the bat of is he gonna drive the lane? Is he gonna shoot early? Is he gonna kick out, try and get everybody involved? George Hill was involved early on. He ended up with 13 points. As you mentioned, JR had 11, Tristan had 10. Kevin Love had 13, and LeBron led the way with 27. Those are your starters. And then Kyle Korver off the bench with 14. So they got that all-around scoring that they needed, but you saw this one coming, and also couple that with the fact that the Celtics have only won 1 game on the road this postseason, and you get an easy Game 3 win for the Cavs.
Yeah, the Celtics tried to do the Golden State Warriors move of taking their foot off the gas without having the clout to really back that up and deserve it at this point. So we look at them and we say that's more of the traits of a young team who has defied that label in almost every term, has displayed a fair amount of maturity and has exceeded our expectations, but in that spot continues to fall short. And really the response, I know we've got the quote from Terry Rozier on their off day, but the response from Terry Rozier after this game to me is probably the biggest indicator of this is still a very young team that's got to learn how to handle these situations.
Well, again, they are statistically a younger team than the Sixers. Right. You know, people need to forget that. And Jackie McMullen, when she was on with us last week, said, hey, remember, this team is bad on the road. Yeah, they were 30 points bad in Game 3. And here was the response that Terry Rozier said after the butt kicking that the Cavaliers delivered to him.
We needed to get our butts whipped, come back to reality and take care of business on Monday.
Said no one ever meaning that.
Exactly.
I mean, it's ridiculous. I hear that when there's an undefeated team during a season and they lose and say, well, I'm glad we got that loss. I'm glad we lost. Now we can settle in. I'm glad nobody ever is glad they lost.
I'm looking forward to getting destroyed
they
out there.
They got a butt whooping. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, to go in and that thought process, I think to your point, Mike, shows you a bit of the youth here to throw out a line like that.
Because you wouldn't say it before a game.
No, you would
not.
You
wouldn't go into Game 3 saying we need to get our butts kicked. I understand that sometimes it happens, and you can say, we did get our butts kicked. We understand we've got to learn from this experience now, but to fall back, and it's a sports cliche. He's doing what a million other people have done and fallen back on a crutch. But to me, that was just kind of a tell. You look for ways when people are defying what you think of them to kind of see the tell. Okay, there's some of that. There's some of the youth there that you've been masking with your great play and your Al Horford.
It's one thing to talk about getting your butt kicked and say it happened, we need to remedy that, but to say we needed it, I'm with you. It's just no shot any team ever really believes that this is just spin zone time.
But I also don't think this team needs it all that much. Again, when we're weighing both sides of this, what do we really believe in? Do either of you look at that game and still believe more in the Cavaliers team outside of LeBron James or the overall Celtics team? Because to me, that Celtics team has been the more consistent product.
There's no question about that. So, I mean, how you feel about the way this series plays out really depends on two things. Do you believe that this Celtics team, to Mike Jr.'s point, will continue to be a dominant force at home? Because really, they don't have to win a game.
No, they do not have to win one game on the road.
All they have to do is take care of business. They have not lost a home playoff game this postseason. And as we all know, I sometimes say stats are for losers, but sometimes when you're 37-0 in a certain stat, it has a little more weight than anything else. And again, they are 37-0. The Celtics are as a franchise whenever they take a 2-game-to-none lead in a best-of-7. So are you believing in the history of the franchise and the current run that this team is on, or are you believing that somehow LeBron James will find a way to do what he's done for 7 straight years, get to the finals? So the question is, what's your feel going forward?
Well, the feel going forward is what Mike brought up earlier, is what are you going to trust more if it gets to a Game 7? Boston at home, where they've been money and the stats are all on their side, or LeBron James? LeBron James in a Game 7, if it gets that far. And I'll let you know after tonight, because basically I had said this series was over. If Cleveland win tonight, I'll say tomorrow, just so I'll give you a preview, that I said that on purpose just to motivate the Cavs, and the Cavs were in it all along. That will be my stance, and I'll be sticking to it.
Someone else has gone even a step farther than that. Our own Brian Windhorst has basically said tonight's game will decide the series.
My experience tells me that in a situation like this, whoever wins Game 4 wins the series. Even though it would only be 2-2 with the Celtics having home court. My experience tells me that. And so, basically, if the Celtics win tomorrow night, you better get your swim trunks ready.
Get your swim trunks ready.
No, but normally it's like get your tea time.
Yeah, how about that?
You went for swim. Like they can't swim when they're playing.
Listen,
I didn't quite understand that.
Maybe
metaphor.
It's a banana boat joke.
Maybe. I think for sure. If Boston wins this one and they're up 3-1, I think it's going to be over. But
but the bigger question is what happens if the Cavs win?
If it's 2-2 again, this is about Boston holding at home and it going to a Game 7. That's what more I think, that if it goes 2-2, this is going to go 7 games. And then it's going to come down to that. Maybe we can finally get a golden game, but a Game 7 where it's LeBron, because that's what it's going to be then. That's going to be Game 7 LeBron, which can be a special, special moment against a Celtic team that has been unbelievably successful at home.
But a Celtic team that Trey mentioned all of that history and their success in certain spots. When in that history was Al Horford your best player? I understand. I've been on the Al Horford revival tour as much as anyone else. The guy's been awesome this postseason after I talked a lot of what about him around the All-Star break.
A lot of crap.
And I get that. But at the same time, with Al Horford as your best player in that singular moment where Larry Nance Jr. can talk about not needing LeBron James to be the best guy and take all those shots, that's exactly the formula if you're asked to win one game.
So in the shortest way you can answer it, do you believe whoever wins tonight is going to win the series, yes or no?
Oh, my gosh. I think I'd lean toward yes, because I think if Cleveland wins, it goes 7, and I'll bet on a Game 7 LeBron.
What about you?
Yeah.
See, I'm not all in on there yet. I understand what you guys are saying about Game 7 LeBron, but Game 7 LeBron has never had these guys coming with him. And as well as they played in Game 3, they haven't been there. We've got proof of that in a little bit. And that was Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. Coming up, your chance to play Pinehurst with us. Mm-hmm. Oh, and also learn some leadership. Now, forget it.
Whatever.
We're just punting on that. Yeah. Plus, did a member of the Cavs sound like Fredo or sound like Stuart Smalley?
Here's a little insider travel secret. There are tons of empty hotel rooms out there just waiting to be booked. That's why there's Hotel Tonight. Hotel Tonight partners with awesome hotels to help them fill their unsold rooms, which means you get incredible deals. And even though the name's Hotel Tonight, you can actually book up to a week in advance and up to 100 days in advance in top destinations. So download the Hotel Tonight app to start scoring better deals at better hotels now.
Hear ye, oh yay, oh yay. To quote the great Samuel L. Jackson from the Smash Film Training Day, King Kong ain't had nothing on me.
Wait, Samuel L. Jackson from what movie?
He confused Samuel L. Jackson for Denzel Washington.
Yeah, I was about to Training Day was Denzel Washington.
Rolling on.
I did too.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I thought we were going to have to beep him out. It's a horrific mistake.
Awful.
Horrific mistake.
We love Jerry, but that was terrible.
Sports Center brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. To win in basketball, you got to play great coverage. And with Straight Talk Wireless, you know you're getting great coverage because they use the exact same 4G LTE towers as the big carriers, but for a whole lot less. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart. Refer to terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
All right, Golic and Wingo with you, ESPN Radio and ESPN2. We'll get to last week to end of the contest in just a minute, but I wanted to get this out of the way here.
Okay.
We're talking about what happens tonight in Game 4, and Game 4 may decide who wins the East, whether it's the Cavs or the Celtics. After a stellar game by other people not named LeBron James, Saturday night for the Celtics and Cavaliers, the Cavaliers specifically, there was a little pep in their step. Little upbeat, little tick for a lot of the Cavs that had not played well, including Larry Nance, who went 4 for 4 from the floor and scored 8 points.
There you go.
And this was Larry Nance after the game talking about, or in the off day, rather, on Sunday, talking about, we're good at basketball.
I think that shows how dangerous we are. We're starting to figure out that, LeBron doesn't have to take 20-some shots for us to, beat a great team by 30, So, the rest of us are, very good basketball players in our own right, and it was nice to show that.
You're starting to figure that out.
Yeah, that's a bad look all the way around.
I mean, really?
I mean, let's be honest, okay? Let's just go with Larry. God bless him. In the playoffs, he's averaging 4 points a game.
Yeah.
So good for him. He doubled his average. So when he said that, two things came to mind. Did he sound like Stuart Smalley?
I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
Or did he sound more like Fredo from The Godfather? So put out there, Golic and Wingo. When Larry Nance says, hey, we're good at basketball, does he sound more like...
I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
Or does he sound more like Fredo from The Godfather?
I can handle things, I'm smart!
Let us know with your tweets at Golic and Wingo.
Whichever one sounds more like trying to convince yourself that this is true, that we can really, really do this, that really, LeBron only needs to take 12 shots and we can still win. All of us just have to keep scoring a lot, something that you haven't done consistently.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to take Stuart Smalley. Didn't quite have the bite of Fredo. Let's say he wasn't quite as agitated, but you could tell there's definitely a sensitivity. Like, we all laughed about that other Cavs sketch and they kind of played it off at the time, but there has got to be a sensitivity. Like, you are the only, this sort of has to, honestly, like, call Blake Bortles and ask him how he deals with this, because Blake Bortles, we just looked at him all football season and said, you're the one thing holding back this Super Bowl team. And now if you're the other Cavs, everyone's looking at this and say, man, you're getting all-time great LeBron, and you guys stink so bad he might not make the finals.
So let us know on our Twitter feed at Golic and Wingo, did he sound more like Fredo or did he sound more like Stuart Smalley? And speaking of our Twitter feed,
Golic and Wingo Leadership Retreat.
By the way,
That's
at the
stuck in
leadership
your head.
treat, we will learn and teach you how to learn with dealing with sensitivity.
Yes, we will.
Part of sensitivity issues. So, Mike, it's the final week to sign up.
Yes, it is.
Tell us all about it.
All right. You have, again, Friday, May 25th. That is a last day from now until that day to give yourself one entry, one tweet at Golic and Wingo. You have to follow at Golic and Wingo, tweet it to Golic and Wingo, hashtag it with golf with GW contest. You get one entry, one tweet. Do your best, photo, video, whatever you're going to do to try and win this leadership retreat at Pinehurst Resort. This is what you're going to get. Again, it's June 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. A 3-day, 2-night trip to Pinehurst Resort in North Carolina, including round-trip airfare for you and 2 guests.
Come on.
You get to bring 2 guests. Premium accommodations at Pinehurst Resort, including hotels, meals, all kind of great swag. You win, you bring 2 people, so that's a threesome. Trey will finish out for a foursome. I will, Mike will, and Stu Gotts will as well.
Maybe.
We're going to have
maybe.
Right. Jason Fitz is trying to get into this thing. We may have others that are showing up to this as well. Yeah. Going to be a ball. Bottom line is, you get to come to Pinehurst and golf not only the Cradle, we have a ball on that. It's a 9-hole short course, but you're getting to golf Pinehurst number 2. Trey, tell everybody how good Pinehurst number 2 is.
It's one of the greatest golf courses in America. It's one of the most historic golf courses in America. It's featured many U.S. Opens. I think it's held more, air quotes, championship events, amateur and professional, than any other course in the United States. There is no rough. All there is they call it the stuff. It's natural vegetation and sand if you miss the fairway, but all the greens are basically like upside-down bowls. And there's a certain level of the green that's a flat part, but if you don't hit the flat part, it's either going to roll off the back or roll back to you, and it will drive you crazy.
Yeah, see, that stuff is all fine and good. The real stuff is going to be in a 30 rack in the back of my golf cart for the people that actually want to come and enjoy themselves out here and not
Listen, the golf is great, but we got to talk about the hackathon or the escape room. It is a leadership conference, after all.
Well, to Jerry's point, voice of God, thank you, reminding us that we're supposed to be pretending this is about something other than golf to continue the scam that we pulled off on the company.
Yes, we did.
The escape room, you will need an escape room after the greens at number 2.
And the hackathon, try and hack the beers out of the case that I've got in the back of my golf cart, is going to be your chief challenge on the day. Because from there, they all go down pretty easy. And that's where the real leadership occurs, is trying to figure out how we steady this ship all drunk out of our minds.
I have some bad news for you.
What's that?
You're not going to be able to bring a 30-pack on the course.
I mean, listen, you say that, but again, it's about finding creative solutions
that's exactly
to problems.
Right, Trey. There is no can't.
This is leadership.
There is no don't. There is figure out a way.
There are a couple of can'ts at number 2. I'm just warning you that right now.
No.
I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you how it's going to go down.
Won't be the only number 2 out there.
Pinehurst has jumped in feet first on this thing, and they know how at least Mike and I play golf.
Oh, so I weep for my future relationship with Pinehurst number 2 after bringing you guys along. But again, for the contest, you get one entry, and you need creativity, tone, and thematic alignment, whatever the hell that is.
I don't know what that
marketing
means.
People.
Just make it really good. Yeah. Make it really, really good.
Yes.
Am I going to have to bring a flask then? Is that how this is going to work?
There are other ways around this. We have workarounds. See, you have one thing in your head that's the way it has to be. There are workarounds.
Well, I understand that.
Workarounds.
Can I work around this on each hole?
Yes.
Sure we can.
All right,
you
perfect.
can work around it.
We're going to learn all kind of leadership.
You're going to need
like
some
this.
swing oil. There's
one
no
entry
again.
at Golic and Wingo. Hashtag it golf with GW contest. You win, then you get to pick 2 friends. Good luck with that.
Yeah, that's a you problem. That's
for
not
3
an us
days,
problem.
2 nights in Pinehurst. Going to be an absolute ball.
It's going to be a blast, and we'll see how that shakes out. Last week to enter. Coming up, he's back, ladies and gentlemen. Kind of. What does that mean? Plus, perhaps the best story of the year and one of the most inspiring things that happened over the weekend that you need to know about. Stay with us. Golic and Wingo on a Monday.
Next. You're holding up the line, ma'am.
What did you say?
You're next in line for the water slide, ma'am. Feet forward and enjoy the ride.
Okay, dearie. This does look fun. You melted me. I've melted.
The Wicked Witch of the West on a water slide? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
See what you've done. Oh!
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15.
To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com. Hope your Monday's off to a good start. Glad you're with us. Golic and Wingo, ESPN Radio and ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. What a weekend. We had a little bit of everything you could possibly ask for over the weekend. We had the royal wedding. We had a couple of royal bouts of basketball where royalty showed up in terms of Steph Curry and LeBron James, and an unbelievable thing that has happened once before in the history of the NHL. So,
odds are being thrown aside in Vegas, and we'll get more into that. And the Preakness, we have Justify that's going for now a Triple Crown we'll get into as well. So, good weekend, good long weekend. I know a travel for you, of moving in for me, of you were traveling
graduation
as well. Stories that we'll get into. But
I had an all-world travel moment this weekend, too. You guys ever been there on the airplane? You got the drink cart going by, and they ask if you want anything to drink. Well, lately they've been a little bit more, I'd say, judicious with their distribution of the cookies. You know those little Biscoff cookies, the ones that you only get on the plane?
# Delta Flight.
Yeah. Oh, they're incredible. Well, so I was on American, actually. So,
Really?
they have the Biscoff.
Right.
The Biscoff cookies are universal, but how they're dealt out seems to be a little bit more up for grabs. And so they weren't just handing them out to anybody here. These were a little bit more, you had to ask for them. Yeah, it was kind of had to know the password. And so I tapped dude on the shoulder. He was walking by. I'd already got my orange juice, and I was like, you got any of those Biscoff cookies? Hands me not one, but 2 packs.
That's a win.
Went above and beyond. I looked at him. That was like the God's plan moment. Like a little tear came down.
You guys have like just that little bit of a nod to one another. Like, yeah.
There was. I'd only had one in-flight moment that had topped that, but that was a big one.
That's a good one.
I was pretty proud.
That's a good one.
You guys have seen the movie Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Little extra aloha for you this morning.
Yeah.
Sir.
Oh yeah.
That's what that sounds like. Thank
At the buffet.
you.
Yeah. Very nice.
How about a little rum? A little extra aloha for you.
There you go.
So you got a little extra aloha in the term of the Biscoff cookies.
The phenomenal Biscoff cookies.
Nicely done.
Fantastic.
All right, let's get started. Golden State looked like Golden State as they rolled the Houston Rockets 126-85 in Game 3, the largest playoff win in franchise history and the largest ever playoff loss for Houston, Mike. It was over really where it always seems to end for the Warriors third quarter.
Well, they had an 11-point lead at halftime, and it was actually the fourth quarter they won by 20. The third quarter they put up 10 more than did the Rockets, so they increased their lead to 21 going into the fourth quarter. It's just what they do and where they do it a lot of times when they're into it, like they weren't, I guess, in Game 2 when they weren't. But let's just Steph Curry got questioned more than a few times about his defense. Is he still hurt? Why is he missing so many shots? You know, why are they picking on him on defense? He decided to answer it, decided to get caught swearing on TV by his mom and yelled at. I've been down that road on national TV getting caught swearing and my mom yelling at me for that. But he was just fantastic. 2 of 10 he started out. Then he finished up 11 of 13 the rest of the way, including 7 of 7 in the third. He was a monster in that third period.
This has to be the most frustrating part about dealing with Golden State, right? Is they only have to play when they want to.
Yeah, correct.
Like they spend a whole regular season just sleepwalking through, not really caring what goes on. They get to the postseason and only really feel like showing up when it suits them. And now here, Draymond says, we get one game a series to go out and kind of be lackadaisical, and then we can just show up and steamroll everyone, and it works, and we just have to live with it.
Well, it's not even that they don't have to show up every game. It's that not everybody has to show up every game. In Game 1, it was Kevin Durant with 38, right? And Steph Curry was okay. He was kind of a non-factor. And then in Game 3, Steph Curry had 35. That's the difficulty of playing this team. Like, if you're Houston, your best 3 players have to be there every night, and they have to show out every night. Capella, Chris Paul, James Harden. They all have to be at their absolute best every night to win. Golden State doesn't have to have that. And that's the ultimate luxury.
So, and we know how this is going to go, right? There's another game in Golden State that Golden State most likely is going to win. I would put, heavy odds on that one. So they're going to be up 3-1. I mean, so while Houston will go out and play each game hard, they got to even know in their heart of hearts, you're not beating Golden State 3 straight games, which is what you would have to do if you're down 3-1. So then it's like, when does it end? Does it end when they go back to Houston, or is it that pride thing you're playing for at home to try and make it go back to Golden State? It's just a matter of when, not if.
Shuffling deck chairs in the Titanic. Yeah. Enjoy the sink.
Yeah. And again, people say, well, wait a minute. It was just a couple of years ago that the Cavaliers came back from 3-1. Yeah, but that Golden State team didn't have Kevin Durant,
right,
and that team had Kyrie Irving as well as LeBron James.
And Houston doesn't have LeBron James.
No, they do not. Meanwhile,
as they say in hockey, let's do that hockey.
Congratulations to the Golden Knights. They are in the Stanley Cup Finals as they took down the Winnipeg Jets 4-1. They are attempting to become the first NHL, NFL, NBA, or Major League Baseball franchise to win a championship in its first existence in the league, excluding the first year of the league's existence, since the 1950 Cleveland Browns won the NFL championship.
And it's amazing as far as the different leagues. It was like that, a bunch right there. 47-48, it was the Baltimore Bullets in the NBA. 48-49, it was the Minneapolis Lakers in the NBA. And then 50, it was the Cleveland Browns. So Vegas loses the first game to the Jets in this one. You're thinking, okay, here, maybe the great story is starting to go the other way. Then they rattled off 4 straight wins. Never trailed at all in any of those games, as Trey's microphone just broke. Just hang on to that.
I was going to say, I love the Vegas Golden Knights, and I'm appreciative of this story.
Yeah.
But for anyone that's watching on ESPN, I guess we're on news right now.
News right now, yeah.
ESPN News right now, or is listening on the radio. Trey Wingo's microphone, just in the middle of Dad's take, decided to explode into his hands.
Yeah, just kind of broke apart.
Dan Stanzik's in here going to try and help fix it as best he can.
Well, you guys say things for a minute.
Well, they try and fix it. Here's what we're talking about. While Vegas, I love the headline of the article about the Golden Knights. Vegas cheering, dreading a Stanley Cup title for Golden Knights. I mean, so the fans are going to be really happy about this. But remember the odds at the beginning of the season on the Golden Knights winning?
Yes, I remember them, Mike.
Yes, you do. Winning the Stanley Cup. It was the odds that people got were the most money that's going to be made. Somebody bet $400 at 300 to 1. They stand to win $120,000. There was another person that put $500 at 200 to 1. That's a $100,000 win. $400 at 150 to 1. That's a $60,000 win. So the books can get hit harder. Now, they're not going to get destroyed. They said it'd be like a bad NFL weekend, but there is a lot of people looking at that. I'm sure made just kind of, I got some bucks. I'm going to throw it down.
Those are the fun ones.
And this will never happen, but I'm just going to throw it down. And now here they are, 4 wins away from paying off a whole lot.
By the way, kudos to our producer, Dan Stanzik, coming in here and getting it done NASCAR pit stop
He's
style.
done great work.
That was very good.
He's done great work.
You mentioned the fans there, though, and that's the one area I'm interested in because someone brought this up this morning, is with this team and how much success they've had early. We always hear people on the other side, when teams are bad for so long, say you need to stick it out with your team. That's part of sports. With how good this team has been early, does that make it more difficult for the fan base there? Like, does that put a strain on them when you've got this spike of success early? Do you struggle to form a fan base the best you can?
I mean,
I think if they go out and I think their fan base is pretty good for a while now because of the early success they've had.
So you think if they go out and win this first Stanley Cup, or if they get there right now and then after this they're not a playoff team for the next 4 or 5 years, you think that fan base lasts?
Well, those are two separate questions in my opinion. One, do you think this excites the fan base? Absolutely, but sustainability, I think. Look, you win a chip, you have a lot of credibility for a long time, unless you're the Marlins and you tear it all down 4 times in a row.
Where the odds went with it, I get what your point is. I mean, you heard their owner when this thing started out saying maybe 4, 5, 6 years before we become really competitive.
Nope,
took them 1. Again, they were 500 to 1 to win the Stanley Cup. What are some of the odds that were greater than that? Go to 2013. Auburn football was 1,000 to 1. They lost a national championship game. 2011 VCU men's basketball was 2,000 to 1. They lost in the national semifinal. And in 2015, Leicester City was 2,500 to 1, and they won the Premier League championship.
Jamie Vardy.
Yeah.
It's the Jamie Vardy party. He scores when he wants to. By the way, the Vegas Golden Knights are what everybody's talking about. I'm glad I can with a working microphone. Brought to you by Lowe's. Pros in the nose start with Lowe's. Go to lowesforpros.com. And then there's Justify. Back-to-back wins in the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness. He won the 143rd Preakness in almost identical conditions. He's clearly a mutter. This much we know. So he's won the first 2 legs of the Kentucky Derby, and Justify is just the 5th horse to win both the Derby and Preakness with an undefeated record entering the Belmont Stakes, but only Seattle Slew in 1977 was able to finish off the Triple Crown, and that's what he's going to try and do June 9th.
Well, I tell you, what a race. It reminded me of when I was in Philly, played against the Bears in the Fog Bowl.
But it wasn't that muddy at the Fog Bowl.
No, it wasn't that muddy. You just couldn't see, and at times the horses just disappeared. And, basically it was Justify and Good Magic that were out in the lead on this thing. Bravazzo made a great run at the end. If this race was another 50 yards, Bravazzo would have won this thing the way it was coming on. Ended up finishing second, but Justify gets the win. Justify going for the Triple Crown, and we look forward to that in a few weeks.
And we'll have it with, I think, a lot of the mystery taken out. There were a lot of people worried about the heel of Justify coming off that Kentucky Derby that was a little less than 100%. And now get a chance to cap this off. Bob Baffert and company, have to be hoping for this kind of weather forecast, because if you get a bright sunny day, all of a sudden you got a wild card in there.
2 things to bring up there. Number 1, Bravazzo did almost chase him down, and the Belmont is the longest of all 3 races.
Exactly right.
So that's one thing. And 2, we listen, we don't have our live Doppler, AccuWeather, Skyscan weather forecast yet, but our fine researcher Riley has come up with the weather for the Farmer's Almanac. And June 6th to 9th in the New York area, thunderstorms, then sunny and cool. So it's a possibility. It's a
Okay.
possibility.
There you go.
We don't have the live look radar yet forecast, but according to the Farmer's Almanac, there could be some thunderstorms around those 3 days, which obviously would make a lot of sense and would be nice for Justify having won 2 of these things in the slop. All right, Golic and Wingo is presented by Progressive's Home Insurance. Get your quote at Progressive.com today. And speaking of Progressive, Johnny Manziel made a progressive move over the weekend, deciding to sign with the CFL. He signs with the Hamilton Tiger Cats of the Canadian Football League, trying to get back into playing ball. And here was Johnny explaining why he did what he did.
This has been a process of really vetting out what the best options for me were, and just looking at it from Coach Jones to everybody here, the way they've treated us to this opportunity. I don't want to wait around anymore. I want a chance to get on the field and get in the locker room and get a chance to play ball again. And I truly sit here today and think that this is the best opportunity for me to get up here with a coach like Coach Jones and this organization and get a chance to play again. That's what it's all about.
So for those who don't know who Coach Jones he's talking to, that's June Jones, who was a longtime coach in the NFL, was a head coach for the Falcons for the Wild, then went back to college, had some success at the University of Hawaii, and now is playing at the Hamilton Tiger Cats, or coaching for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I give Johnny a lot of credit here on one reason, on one level. First of all, look, if you want to play, go find somewhere where you can play.
Right.
And I think that he's doing what a lot of other quarterbacks, specifically Tim Tebow, didn't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I want to prove that I can play quarterback. I'm going to go somewhere where I can actually play the quarterback position.
Yeah, I mean, this is born of he had no other options.
Correct.
Right? I mean, he was putting out workout videos, and then he did some in that spring league for a couple of games to try and get noticed.
Went to a lot of pro days.
Right, exactly, to try and get noticed, to try and get on a roster, and it wasn't happening. So this was the next step. And I'm with you, Trey. He took it. Yeah. Because, there's saying you want to get back into it, and there's doing what you need to do to try and get that opportunity. And whether he fails or succeeds, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But that's what the same thought was with Tim Tebow. He struggled to pass in his passing like Manziel does. And there's passing in the Canadian Football League, the bigger field, you're whipping the ball around. You're really going to be able to show your wares throwing the ball. So that's what he's going to do. It's a 2-year commitment when you go to the Canadian Football League. It's certainly a different experience when you experience. You were up in Montreal. My dad played in the Canadian Football League on 3 different teams, obviously a long, long time ago. It's a different animal up there, no doubt about it, of what you're used to in the States. But it's a hell of a league, been around for a long time, and it will give him a proving ground. Now, he has to beat out Jeremiah Masoli, the former quarterback from Oregon. June Jones said he's going to have his work cut out for him to do that as well. He's coached by Chip Kelly at Oregon. So we'll see. He's got to get into the starting lineup, number one, to show what he can do. But he's a guy who wants to do this, and this is his outlet now to do it, and he's trying to take advantage of it.
It's a guy who's got to stick around. Like, I'll give him credit when he sticks around. He's taken the first step, but if he's going to prove himself, he's got to be there. And we've seen plenty of other guys. Michael Sam went up to the north of the border to Canada and ended up not sticking around for the whole season. We've seen guys go up there and it not be a great fit because everyone talks about the learning curve for the intricacies of the game, but there's also that adjustment of this is not going to be the same Lux lifestyle you had at Texas A&M or in the NFL. It's a little different when you're living with the other half.
Listen, and to the point about the style of play, first of all, June Jones, the head coach, said, you're right, there's no guarantee he's going to beat out our starter. And this is Johnny talking about why he thinks he might have success playing in the CFL.
The speed of the game and with the way that you can be creative offensively up here, the things that I have heard from the people that I've vetted is this is a very offensive-minded, somewhat, guru type of league where you can come up with a lot of different things and be very creative in what you do offensively. So I'm excited about that and, the style of play that I think fits nicely with what has been beneficial for me in the past.
And that style of play he's talking about is frenetic.
Right.
Let's be clear. Johnny is best sometimes when the machine breaks down. Mm-hmm. But let's take away all the stuff that happened off the field, the partying, the issues with his ex-girlfriend, which if you read some of the indictments and the allegations are pretty bad. Take all that away. Let's say Johnny Manziel had a sparkling record off the field, which he does not.
Right. No, he doesn't.
I have legitimate concerns about whether or not he can ever function as an NFL quarterback to begin with. And it has nothing to do with any of that other stuff. It's math. I mean, Johnny is 5'11", probably about 200 pounds soaking wet. And his style of play that he alluded to is frenetic. In other words, he wants to play a little bit like Ben Roethlisberger plays in the NFL. And Ben Roethlisberger is 6'5", 250, 260 pounds. I just don't know if Johnny is legitimately built to play football in the NFL.
Well, I mean, I had the same questions coming out. I never would have been a first rounder to me at all.
No way.
I didn't think his game translated to the NFL. Now we're seeing guys that create a little bit offenses in the NFL are kind of trying to incorporate it into their offenses a little bit. It used to be, we don't care how you played in college, you're going to play this way in the NFL, so you damn well better learn it. They're morphing a little bit. NFL is not becoming college offenses by any stretch, but you're using the skill of that quarterback. So it's a little better for the guys like, I think, a Lamar Jackson, a Baker Mayfield, to Deshaun Watson we saw last year. I love how they were calling plays for him, using his abilities and his style and implementing that into an NFL offense. But I listen, this is all going to be on Johnny. I don't think he's going to end up back in the NFL. That's just me, though. But
but if he does, good for him. Well, right?
Again, he doesn't care what I think or everybody thinks. He's trying to get back in. So this is the way to go. I'm here to analyze it off of what I've seen, and I don't see it happening for him. But he's going to give the effort. This was his route to go. This was an option to go, and he's trying to take advantage of it.
Well, this is the first time we're going to see that effort. Like
exactly
the last time around, we didn't even get to see if someone could bring their offense up to meet him halfway. We didn't get to see if his ability was going to be enough because the rest of the stuff self-sabotaged so much.
Right.
That was what happened. We don't have an accurate look at what Johnny Manziel, the pro quarterback, looked like. We know what Johnny Manziel, the professional, looks like, and it was bad, but we don't know what Johnny Manziel, the pro quarterback, looks like.
No, we don't. And look, his official measurements when he was drafted in 2014, 5'11" and 3/4 inches, so you can round that up to 6 feet easily, and 207 pounds. But, a quarterback under 6 feet and right around 200 pounds, that's a concern. And Johnny's, like Russell Wilson is 5'11" and just a little heavier, but he's thick. Russell Wilson is stocky. Johnny Manziel is slim. He is. Again, just take away all the other stuff. The biggest concern I always had was simply physics. Is he going to be able to hold up? He may be able to hold up in Canada, and that may get some people that would look at him and say, oh, he could do this there. At the end of the day, is he someone you're willing to entrust with that frame more than anything else to run an NFL offense?
You look at a couple of quarterbacks who played in Canada and made it in the NFL. One I played with in Houston was Warren Moon. And the other
Warren's a big dude.
Well, and that's where I was going. Yeah. The other is more the size of the smallest quarterbacks. Doug Flutie went and played in Canada and then came and played in the NFL.
Limited success in a gimmicky role.
Exactly right. So We'll see. We'll see where this goes. He's got to beat out. He's got to be the starting quarterback there. He's going to make, I think, $100,000 and some is what'll be his pay. The start, Jeremiah is making over $300,000. So he's the higher paid quarterback. The starter they have now in Masoli. So we'll see how it goes. I think camp started yesterday for them. So they'll have a game in a couple of weeks, and we'll see what happens. We'll see him on the field.
I'm sure we'll have plenty of highlights of that game coming up for it. It's a super long shot, and I guess I'm just interested because we finally get to see the quarterback. I really don't think the last time around we got a guy that was giving enough effort to consider it an honest try at playing quarterback in the NFL.
Which he admitted.
Oh, I mean, I get he admitted it, but I guess that's the thing. I have a hard time holding all of that other stuff all out to the side of the picture because it really clouded what we were able to see.
Here's a big question, and that part of it comes into play of his preparation and kind of laissez-faire attitude. What if he's not the starter?
Yeah.
What if he gets beat out? What if he starts the season as a backup? Where is the commitment level then? And listen, the only reason we bring that up because we saw it. We saw it when he wasn't a starter, some of his actions. So where does that come to now if all of a sudden he's not the focal point, he's not the man, he's not the starting quarterback there?
Well, look, when he came out of college, and he's changed, I believe his personal life has changed dramatically, but when he came out, my first question with Johnny was, I know he likes being a football star, but does he like being a football player?
Right.
To your point.
Yep.
And we'll find out whether or not he likes the grind and being a football player. He says he does, and he's doing the things that would lead you to believe that he does feel that way. We'll find out as it goes forward. By the way, we have another little nugget in the NFL that's coming up, which is a win for everybody. Mm-hmm. We'll get into that a little bit later. Plus, one last note on the Golden State Warriors here. We talked about that third quarter. Warriors' opponents are now have been outscored by 77 points in the third quarter in this year's playoffs. The next closest team was the 76ers at plus 38. So, yes, it was the fourth quarter where they blew it out last night, but it's the third quarter where they stretch away, and they've done that the entire postseason. And I think they were plus 372 in the regular season in the third quarter. So that's where they really have made their difference. Coming up, will tonight be LeBron James' final home game in a Cavs uniform? It's certainly possible.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for the Golic Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS, consumeraccess.org number 3030. To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com. Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News on a Monday morning, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
So I know where we're going to do a little NBA here, but coming off of Johnny Manziel going to the CFL, I looked up and they give like the top players who played in both.
Yeah,
started out in the CFL and then went to the NFL. I did not, and I'd forgotten, Jeff Garcia played in the CFL. He's not drafted when he left San Jose State. He headed to Calgary. He actually backed up Doug Flutie and ended up going to the 49ers where he backed up Steve Young and certainly, threw well in the league, no doubt about that. Rocket Ishmael, he went to the CFL. And Joe Kapp, former quarterback, former Cal Star, is one of the few players ever traded from the CFL to the NFL. I did not know this. And he went to Notre Dame, and I shouldn't. We all know him very well. Joe Theismann.
How do you not know that?
I don't know. Maybe I knew it and I forgot about it. He was the Heisman runner-up in 70. The Dolphins only offered him a $17,000 contract as a fourth-round pick. The Toronto Argonauts offered him a 3-year, $150,000 deal with a $50,000 signing bonus. He made 2 CFL All-Star teams before the Redskins acquired his rights. Then, of course, you have Doug Flutie, who is actually listed third on this list. Cookie Gilchrist, second on this list. And then Warren Moon. Warren Moon is the only player enshrined in both the Canadian Football Hall of Fame and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He led the Edmonton Eskimos to 5 straight Grey Cup victories, reached the Pro Bowl 9 times, and has thrown for over 70,000 yards. This was, again, he ended up there because the NFL thought, wait, African-American quarterback?
That can't be.
You're going to have to play another position. So he went up to CFL and said, yeah, guys, I can throw pretty well. You may want to let me come down to the league and throw, and ends up making the Hall of Fame in both. That's pretty impressive.
It's a good thing we're not still doing that to black quarterbacks.
I know. Yeah. It's just so ridiculous.
But the more interesting thing that you said there to me was the fact that someone got traded from the CFL to the NFL. A, is that still popular? And B, who was the guy that
popular
got sent?
Possible,
excuse me. And was it a player sent from the NFL then to the CFL, or was it for cash? Like, what was traded for this guy?
So it says it was a complicated waiver deal. It said Cap led the BC Lions to a Grey Cup in '64, but the Lions then traded him to the Minnesota Vikings when the team stumbled in 1967. That's all it said. It didn't talk about who was involved in it. But yes, he was. That is pretty wild.
I need to know if there was potentially a player sent from the NFL to the CFL, which seems like there is no chance that could happen. But now I want to know if it's possible.
Well, that's why we have researcher Riley, and she will get on that right away.
I just clicked on where it kind of had a link to it, and it just said page not found.
There you go.
We may never know.
Joe Kapp, of course, did play in a Super Bowl with the Minnesota Vikings. And also had one of the legendary old guy fights of all time. If you want to look up Joe Kapp, one of his CFL rivals, years later, like 5 years ago, or it's maybe even 10 years ago at this point, they got together at Summer Union and they were swinging. It's unbelievable.
Oh, wait, I think I remember that. Did they have like canes and stuff?
Yeah. I do remember that.
That was Joe Kapp and company. Yes. It was one of the greatest.
He's the only CFL Hall of Famer ever to quarterback a Super Bowl team.
There you go for the Minnesota Vikings, which lost 23-7 in Super Bowl IV to the Kansas City Chiefs.
I knew you'd know
Len
that.
Dawson, your MVP.
Mm-hmm. So all this back around full circle. Good luck to Johnny Manziel as he tries to play in the Canadian Football League.
And we'll see how that plays out as he tries to get his football career going. Golic and Wingo, presented by 1-800-Flowers.com. Life special events call for a beautiful bouquet from 1-800-Flowers.com. Right now, when you order a dozen Gerbera daisies, starting at $29.99. You also get a free vase. For details, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN.
Had a tweet from that 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. We were talking about the Biscoff cookies on the plane before.
Yep.
Paul Liebman tweets in, an important life hack from a frequent flyer, a squeeze of lime on a Biscoff cookie creates a surprisingly remarkable key lime pie experience.
Wow, see, I do like that, and that story
I'm not sure how important that was.
Mike was on the plane and asked for some Biscoff cookies when he's traveling this weekend and got 2 packs, so which is a huge win.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay, now I have to ask, you said that was your second best airplane experience.
Yeah.
What was your first?
You can imagine what the first was.
No, I can't.
No.
Come on. I can't, and I don't.
There's
know.
way.
Don't let my dimensions fool you.
There's no way.
Limber.
They fooled a lot of people. No way. Not the Mile High Club.
Stop that now.
Come on. What? You guys don't believe me?
No.
I don't believe
You guys don't think I'm capable of joining the Mile High Club?
Nope. So tell us the real story.
I had a flight attendant slip me a bunch of Jack and Cokes one time on a short flight. It was they were doubles. They were doubles.
There you go.
They were doubles.
Well, the key thing there is it wasn't what you wanted us all to think it was.
Look, you think I'd fit in an airplane bathroom?
That's what we said.
So we were just saying.
Okay, moving on.
All right.
So you doubled down on the Jack and Cokes, and on Sunday the Warriors doubled down on the Houston Rockets. Pounding them 126-85, and yea, verily, Steph Curry answered all questions, but whether or not he was healthy. He was good to go. He was Steph Curry, and Steve Kerr was asked about it after the game.
Rockets were taking it right at Steph again from the start, and before his shot was falling, he was driving to the basket pretty well. I know everyone wants to talk about his pretty shot, but on a night like tonight, how important is his toughness?
Well, he's underrated. Steph is underrated for the toughness factor, but you don't become a 2-time MVP just by shooting a bunch of threes. You know, he's got unbelievable stamina and physical toughness, mental toughness. You know, for 4 days, everybody's been talking about him, and what he did tonight didn't surprise any of us because that's just who he is. He's got unbelievable character and great talent, and it always rises when it needs to.
You know, listen, you're a human being, too. You hear people talking about you. You want to show them up a little bit.
No question.
And say, you know, what you've been saying, you're wrong.
And that's why he swore on national television.
He did. He made a big shot, and they were
This is my bleeping house.
This is my effing house, is what he said. And he got nailed for it. I got nailed for that. I got nailed for it on a Thanksgiving game.
Oh.
Thanksgiving standalone game.
Tough.
Michael.
I did. Coming off there, we were playing the Cowboys, and I was at the Eagles. There was a scuffle right before we ran off for the punt team. Not shockingly, there was a scuffle between us on the field. And as I was running off the field, I guess they said the camera zoomed in on me. And right as I was taking my helmet off, I said, said the mother of all words. I did not say fudge. And I got a call from my mom after the game saying, Michael, I saw you swear on TV. And I mean, what am I going to do? You know, you're busted.
No, that wasn't me. That was another defensive lineman for the Eagles.
Was it just lip reading, or did they catch you on the field?
No, it was just lip reading.
Oh.
But I mean, it was like one of those where they were going to break and there was zooming in, and by the time it got to the break and the word I said, they were almost just on my face. And I mean, slow-mo, mouthing the word, it was pretty easy to tell what I said.
That's one of my favorite moments in sports, only trumped by when you catch a blatant F word on the field, Mike. Yep. It's basically my point where I start every game. Like, that's when the game officially both starts and ends. Kind of like a road team winning a playoff game.
Well, there you went.
The series only starts when a road team wins a playoff game.
That's what they say.
And it only starts when you catch a loud F-bomb on the field, Mike.
Well, we're still waiting for the Eastern Conference to start then? Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah, by that definition, it appears the series has not yet started yet, and it could be over tonight if the Celtics decide to go ahead and win it.
Or do we believe now, after a 41-point drubbing, that the Western Conference Finals is over?
That one looks a little more... By the way, shout out to Steve Kerr for, not having the audacity to list good defense as a Steph Curry trait when he said, you don't just win the MVP by shooting a bunch of threes. But come on, why is it a bad thing? Like, why are we shying away from the thing that Steph Curry does better than anyone in history? Like, yeah, I get you want to, love up your guy after a few days, but he did win the MVP off the strength of being one of the best three-point shooters we've ever seen.
And to that point about defense, James Harden, who looks like he's going to win the MVP this year, minus 19 on the floor. So really, he scored 20. He contributed 1 point. Basically, in the differential, 1 point in the Rockets' 40-plus loss to the Golden State Warriors. All right, coming up, a Major League Baseball team, allegedly based in the British Virgin Islands, demonstrated the ultimate pettiness, and something quite frankly, everybody in the media should be very upset about.
Here's a little insider travel secret. There are tons of empty hotel rooms out there just waiting to be booked. That's why there's Hotel Tonight. Hotel Tonight partners with awesome hotels to help them fill their unsold rooms, which means you get incredible deals. And even though the name's Hotel Tonight, you can actually book up to a week in advance and up to 100 days in advance in top destinations. So download the Hotel Tonight app to start scoring better deals at better hotels now.
All right, as we continue here on Golic and Wingo, we're presented by Dollar Shave Club. Upgrade to shaving with a fresh blade whenever you want for a fraction of the price. Join DollarShaveClub.com today. That would be a smart move, joining Dollar Shave Club. What the Marlins have done is the absolute opposite of a smart move. Look, we all know how this season's going to play out. We all knew from day one when they before the season began, when they traded away Giancarlo Stanton to the Yankees, and then first pitch of the season they gave up a home run. It was the ultimate troll on the LeBron show, and they were there doing live play-by-play, and they gave up a home run the first portion of the season.
On
pitch. But then there's this. A Miami radio host, Andy Slater, joined Marlins man on an investigative trip to the British Virgin Islands. They went there because the Marlins are claiming they're an international company.
So let me give you the real quick, if I can explain this correctly, what happened here. The former owner, Jeffrey Loria, was sued for not paying out partial ownership to other owners of the team.
To Miami-Dade County. They were looking at their cut for the sale of the team. Jeffrey Lurie essentially said he was operating at a loss on that, and so the onus then went to Derek Jeter's ownership group to supposedly cover that missed
Jeffrey Lurie said he lost $140 million in the sale. He bought the team for $159 million, sold it for $1.2 billion. So Miami-Dade named, as you mentioned, Derek Jeter as a defendant. His new ownership group claiming that they now should have to take care of this. And basically, according to the Miami Herald, the Jeter Group filed a claim that the company that owns the team is actually a corporate citizen of the British Virgin Islands, and as such, any legal disputes are therefore international ones and should be heard by a federal judge instead of a Miami-Dade judge who basically has already sided with against Jeter in this one. So a ploy to have the responsibility put somewhere else.
And this is not unusual. Let's be clear. There are a lot of companies that claim residency in Delaware, for example, for tax purposes. So they went to find this address. And so Andy Slater, who is a guy that has been credentialed for many years.
He did the legwork for all
He did the legwork for this, and he went there. And after they did this, the Marlins decided to pull his credential.
Yeah.
And that's just so completely bogus. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Suddenly he went from... so he went there with Marlins man,
to find the address, for this supposed company.
Yeah, and so that peeved off the Marlins,
right?
And the Marlins' response was to yank his credential.
He said, I was basically told that I could not cover the Marlins. I was denied credentials right after I went to the British Virgin Islands. That trip, I was actually approved for the next day for that Sunday, and when I got a denial email, and then was denied about a week later when I applied again. I spoke to Marlins PR. They said basically they don't like the way that I cover the team, so I've been denied credentials since then. I mean, is that the ultimate in pettiness?
It's spectacularly bad PR by the Marlins, and we see instances.
Well, they don't need good PR.
Yeah, I mean, they don't need any coverage at this point. It's not like they're doing anything worth covering, but we see this a fair amount in brush-ups with players or coaches with members of the local media. Anytime you get a coach that generally tends to give an answer that seems like it's got a bit extra, we usually find out it's because there's a fair amount of backstory with a particular member of the local media, whether it's a writer, a radio host, someone who has been a guy who's sort of been a thorn on the side of a team. And it sounds like that's what you've got here, is someone who's been prodding this team for a while, and they just finally had enough of it.
So that's it. So denied. But I mean, you're going to do that, but it's going to turn out to work more against you, is it not? I mean, now you're going to have to answer to that. You're going to have to talk about that. And I know you hope in time it just goes away, but I don't know when this will.
Let's be clear. If they hadn't done that, we wouldn't be talking about it right now.
Yeah.
And I got to give all credit to the LeBron show, because that's the first time I heard this story. When I was driving home from our show, LeBron was talking about this. Look, this is a big deal. This is bogus. They're choosing to do something petty that has nothing to do with anything other than we don't like something that you did. And that's a dangerous thing to start talking about.
This is also a snowball effect of when you're a bad team who's had nothing but negative PR since Jeter and this ownership group took over. Because how many other instances have we seen? Has there been another that we can think of in recent memory where a team has revoked the media credential of a group?
Well, when I was in St. Louis, actually, the Cardinals revoked the membership, the credential of one guy on one radio station because he was saying bad things about him.
And I've heard about this. Yeah. Listen, I've talked to plenty of people that have worked in local markets who said forget just this. There are owners who will call in and put the squeeze on certain radio stations and certain hosts for saying things that are detrimental to the team because they are so closely tied in with those groups. It's just always the thing, you're going to lose this because who's then writing the stories about this? The
Correct.
Same media who has a member that you just slighted. So this is an area where you're almost never going to win, but you understand being on the inside of the machine sometimes, there absolutely is aggravation that comes at the hands of these people.
Without question, there's aggravation.
There's no way for them to win by doing what they did. They just made it worse for themselves.
Then it comes down exactly to how you handle it, and they put themselves in a bad situation here. For a team that already, for what Derek Jeter and the new ownership has done, they are ranked last right now. They're averaging just over 10,000 fans a game. That's not shocking by any stretch that they're in that position.
I guess my only thought in this is I understand it's because of all the bad PR they've already had, but if someone did this to the Patriots and Belichick and them yanked their credential, would we be as critical?
Yeah, well, look, I can't answer that because it hasn't happened, but that's a fair question.
It's a fair question to ask.
At the end, but it should never be that way. It should never be that way.
I agree. I just wonder if our judgment's the same.
Well, no, you're right.
Right.
That would be different. So congratulations to the 17-29 Miami Marlins for your fine season. We look continuing to coverage all the silly things that you continue to do, which make no damn sense whatsoever. All right, when we come back, is tonight the last home game in a Cavs uniform for LeBron James? We'll talk to Ryan Hollins, who is a very tall human being. Next.
I'm a one-trick pony, literally. I show up at kids' parties and act cute. That's pretty much it. So excuse me for being bitter. When Geico says not only could we save you money on car insurance, but we do more. Like give you 24/7 access online, over the phone, or even via our award-winning mobile app. Well, ooh la la, aren't they multi-talented? Hey, I said organic carrots.
Geico. Expect great savings in a whole